Now, going on to the business blunder of the day, you have the US pushing for an airbag recall from Arc Automotive. Now, this is a business blunder, especially because the optics are not good when it's not a voluntary recall. It's one of those things where recall is never good for a business. It makes them look unintelligent, let's say they don't care. There's a lot of downside to a recall, but when it's voluntary, you can at least say, well, they're acknowledging the situation. They're trying to get ahead of the situation. In some instances, when it's mechanical, especially with vehicles, hopefully you get ahead of the situation where there's not been any deaths from it, heaven forbid. And in that case, some people actually might respect the company because they can see them as trying to do the right thing and, again, try to get ahead of the bad things that could happen. Now, in this particular case, you have the U.S. auto safety regulators stepping out, trying to force the Tennessee-based company to recall, geez Louise, 52 million airbags, specifically the airbag inflators that can explode during crashes and cause injuries. Now, the National Highway Traffic Association has determined that the airbags made by Arc Automotive are defective, and they scheduled a public hearing for October 5th. Now, it's interesting, they actually say it's a rare move, but one that's required before a mandatory recall can be enforced. Now, they go on to specify that the inflators can explode and hurl shrapnel into the driver and passengers, and at least two people have been killed and 7 injured, according to the National Highway Traffic Association. So it's really unfortunate because people have already passed. So obviously that's the worst thing that could possibly happen for any automotive, any product actually, to have an unintentional, innocent life being taken. And in this case, the problem is going to be pretty widespread because there's a lot of consolidation in the automotive community. There are a lot of companies who make like 1 or 2 parts for every automotive company. You saw this, I believe it was, wow, time flies, maybe 10 years ago when you had the Tata airbag recall and they were manufactured in China. It was a very similar situation where over time, I believe the specific propellant in the cartridge to the purpose to blow out the airbag, it actually degrades over time. It could explode. And again, they would have an issue with shrapnel. So it's another, unfortunately, a deadly situation. And people quickly realized, I've never heard of Tata, but more than half of all the automotive manufacturers use that one airbag module. So it's one of those issues where it might not sound bad because no one's ever, now not to be pejorative about Arc Automotive, no one's heard of them before really. But they might very well be in a majority of manufactured US cars, and it's going to affect a lot of those brands. It's going to make those brands look bad because, again, part of your role being a manufacturer, you have to check your suppliers, you have to constantly check for quality control departments. I would joke that some actually don't have them in Detroit, but it's one of these instances where it's just going to be bad news all around. And unfortunately, some people have already passed away because of the situation. And again, Arc Automotive is not getting in front of this. They're going to have a public hearing, and it sounds like they're just going to force them in the recall. So unfortunately, to have a recall is such a common part, that's actually a life-saving component, that's got to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, again, for taking the time to tune in. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of September. I know it's a tall order, but every click counts. Also, I especially appreciate you taking the time to like and comment. Feedback is always important. It helps the channel grow and develop. It even helps me improve everything from slowing down my speech to trying to be more concise with my speech and try to articulate so you can actually hear me a majority of the time. And my goal is to keep improving that skill set throughout the show. Also, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.